Greetings and welcome to What's Up Stark. I'm Dan, I'm here with Brock, and I'm here with Nicole Dietz Hunt. We're here at her shop, Fromage du Monde on 4th Street in downtown Canton. Fromage du Monde is French for cheeses of the world?
Cheese of the world.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Good job.
Tell us about this place.
So this place opened 4.5 years ago on October 4th, 2019, which just happened to be a First Friday.
Okay.
And if you know anything about First Friday in downtown Canton, you know that that is probably a roll of the dice with regard to that being your first day.
Yeah.
But it was. So it was a sink or swim moment for us.
So went straight to grand opening.
Straight to grand opening.
Okay.
Exactly.
Did you sell some cheese that night?
We sold so much that night. It was before we even knew what we were doing. We barely knew how the POS system worked. It was wild. And I always kind of use that as a measuring stick. It's one of my measuring sticks. One of those things like, if I can do that, I can do anything.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I bet at the end of the night it was kind of exhilarating though, right?
Oh yeah, especially once I counted the money.
Yeah.
Did you have any cheese left?
I did have cheese left, but what I did do was I underestimated the amount of, like disposables, to-go containers, things like that I would need. So I remember calling my dad in a panic the very next day saying, oh my gosh, can you go to GFS? I need gloves, I need boxes. So that was a good problem to have. Yeah.
Okay. So what was here before?
So this was, I believe they called it the Essential Alternatives, and it had to do with essential oils and like a little apothecary. And I remember I was looking for a space downtown, and I was specifically looking at another unit, which is on the same road, the same set of units, but it was much, much smaller. And I was kind of disappointed because my initial vision for this shop was a dine-in cheese shop, which was supposed to be like an elevated deli type environment. And when we were looking at that much smaller shop, I loved this row of shops. I loved, the idea of being here, but that one was just really small, and I felt like I was settling. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call, and the landlord said, sit down, I have some news for you. The ladies at the very end are moving out. And if you would like that shop, it's available.
It was fate.
That's how I knew that I was in the right place, right time, right idea, and I was super motivated to move forward.
Why cheese?
That's a really good question. So there are a couple of different layers to that answer. At first, it started out just because I had discovered this concept in Cincinnati, Ohio. I knew I wanted to own my own business. It had to be food focused, but I knew I didn't want a full service restaurant. So when I came across the cheese shop in Cincinnati, Ohio, I thought, that's perfect. That gets me where I want to be in terms of food and beverage, but not the daunting task of a big full service restaurant. And it's something small footprint. I thought at the time, like, I can just manage that myself. How hard can it be? I was so very wrong. But then, I kind of fell in love with the cheese. As this place was being built, I really did a deep dive into cheese making, cheese selling, farmers, cheesemakers, and I did a lot of different internships and visits and stage work. And I just really fell in love with the fact that this product connects us through time, through regions. It literally romances us. The science behind it is it appeals to your dopamine receptors.
I have read about this.
Yes, so just like sex and gambling, it's something.
Drugs too.
Yeah, it's something that appeals to you, which is
what's on this plate?
Please. But I found out that there is a very deep-seated and sort of romantic reason why people just keep getting drawn to cheese and cheese making the world over. And it's something that appeals to everybody, and that we love it, and we love sharing the stories, and I love learning about it and connecting and being part of a cog in a big agricultural worldwide wheel.
That sounds like a great answer to me.
I know.
Yeah.
And for those of you that can't see, if you can't tell on camera, Nicole's hair clip is a piece of Swiss cheese, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because we're fully into this.
And your shirt, Gouda vibes. So you like cheese puns as well.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
And we also have this.
Yeah, I brought you
let's
some
talk about
cheese
that.
to sample.
Yeah.
So
What'd you bring?
Okay, so I brought you 4 different kinds, very, very different. And one of the talks that I like to have with people about cheese is environment matters. So if you take a group of the same breed of cows and they are grazing on Dutch, in Dutch, highlands, and they're, in that environment with those kind of temperatures, those kind of herbs and vegetation to graze on. If you take those exact same cows and you drop them in the French countryside, you're going to get a different product because environment matters, right?
Same cows.
Right. Environment matters, breeds matter, all that matters. So what I want you to try very first is I want you to try this guy. You guys take those 2 pieces right there. So that is called honeybee Gouda. That is a beautiful sort of warm flavor tones is how I pronounce, is kind of how I describe it. It's a goat cheese Gouda, which people are like, oh, you can make Gouda out of goat cheese? Yes, you can make Gouda out of any cheese. It's infused with honey from a neighboring apiary, and if you notice the flavor layers in that, you're going to get things like hazelnuts, butterscotches, of course honey. It's got a little sweetness to it, that's obvious, but that's why everybody loves Gouda, because it's like getting a hug.
Oh, it's
nothing not to like, right? There's no funk.
This is really good.
Yeah, it is extremely good.
And there is a lot of there's very full flavor.
Very full flavor in that, yes. And that's kind of a semi-soft there, so it's not spreadable like a triple cream, but it's also not a super hard, dry cheese. And they come in many, many different varietals like that. Like this one here on the plate, that's also a Gouda. It's a sheep's milk cheese Gouda, so you're gonna have a little bit more of an earthy flavor tone there, but still those warm flavor profiles that we love so much. But because it's sheep, it's gonna be very different. It's got a little more age on it, so it's going to be harder and drier.
So talk to us a little bit about the cheese making process. Do you make the cheese here? Do you have to buy it? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so that people often think that we are making cheese here. No, curds and whey are not my thing.
Okay.
So there are professionals that do that, and they do it very, very well. We just buy from them.
How do you make cheese?
Separate the curds and the whey.
Okay.
and then put your rennet in it, put some salt in it, put your other ingredients in it that you want to, and then let it sit.
And how long do you sit? It's a long time, right?
I mean, there are cheddars out there that have been sitting for 10 years.
Okay.
They're $100 a pound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of, I carry, the Manchego that I carry in my case is only 3 months, but I can carry Manchego up to 36 months. So, the price goes up. Obviously, the intensity goes up in terms of the flavor profile after it's been sitting around for a while. So all of that stuff matters when you're talking about, varietals of cheese, just like wine.
How many do you typically have on hand?
About 40.
40?
And some cheese is seasonal, so it's super interesting to see what cheeses come out in the spring or the fall, because the animals will graze on fall foliage versus spring foliage, and they will put forth cream that tastes different depending on what they're grazing on. Yeah.
I can't stop looking at this orange cheese. It's extremely orange.
Yes, it's extremely orange. So that is called mimolette, and that is, if your viewers and listeners are listening to me and they've listened to me before, it's likely that they've heard me talk about this, because it's one of my favorite cheeses to talk about. The legacy story behind this cheese is fantastic. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So about 400 years ago, King Louis, the one that was married to Marie Antoinette in France, was feuding with everybody. And so he had a hard time with the imports. Anybody that would import anything into France, people didn't like him, so they weren't sending him things, including cheese. So there was this fabulous cheese that the Dutch made called Edam. We still have it, enjoy it to this day. And he wanted Edam, couldn't get it because the Dutch, not fans of Louis. So he said to his personal royal cheesemakers, I want you to make me Edam here in France for me to enjoy. Well, those gentlemen knew what I know and what you now know, which is environment matters. You can't just take any old group of cows grazing anywhere and create a product that is normally created on Dutch soil with Dutch cows. But it was also a time when they were like off with their heads. So they were like, listen, we're going to try to make we're going to make something. So they put together this product, and they put it to age in underground caves where the humidity is perfect for cheese aging, because you have to have perfect humidity and perfect temperature to age cheese in. So they put it in these caves in northern France, and they let it age for 3 years. all the while crossing their fingers, hoping that death does not come to them at the end of this, because they want King Louis to have the product that he's looking for.
Louis didn't get impatient too.
Exactly. Well, he knew that the age matters. Okay. So they pull this product out, and they realize, first of all, it looks nothing like Edam. Nothing. But what they also realize is that in this cave in the underground northern France, there are billions of tiny cheese mites that attach themselves to the wheels of cheese. The mites eat away at the rind, leaving behind an enzyme that makes it hard, dry, packed with flavor. Now the color is added. That's an additive. It's not a natural coloring. But what the product is only the product because of those cheese mites. So he may have not gotten the Edam that he was after, but he did get a product that we're still enjoying 400 years later.
That is still being eaten by cheese mites before?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the only place in the world you can make this cheese because of those cheese mites in that cave.
Oh man. So this is from France.
Yes, please try it.
Okay. How would you describe it?
It's hard.
So to me, there are lots of flavor layers there. When you first put it in your mouth, it's a very different experience than when the finish comes through. It coats your tongue.
It changes.
Mm-hmm. It coats your tongue. You're going to get sort of a sharpness, not unlike cheddar, but it doesn't hang out too long. You're going to get a caramelized onion flavor in there. Some of those warm flavor tones that we were talking about, much like the Goudas.
It almost feels like hardtack too. It does not feel like cheese at all.
I know.
But it does melt and kind of coat your mouth.
It coats your mouth, but if you were to try to melt this, the fat content is so high that all it would do is separate. You would not be able to melt it on a sandwich. And it comes in like a bowling ball style wheel. So it's almost perfectly round, almost. It has a tiny flat edge on the top and on the bottom. It looks like a cantaloupe. That's what the rind looks like after the mites have had their time with it. And it's super hard and dry. So it's like the moniker for it is it's the most dangerous cheese in the world because you can hurt yourself cutting into it. Yeah.
But the aftertaste, like what I'm getting now, is delicious.
It's really
but at first you're like,
yes.
what is that? It's very dry.
I know.
And
And I was visiting Toronto last year, and of course, whenever I visit anywhere in the world, I go into local cheese shops, right? I want to find out what they're doing and possibly steal ideas if I can, because I'm not above that.
Yeah.
But I noticed that the Canadian government requires them to cover their mimolette wheels in black wax because of that mite element. Now, we know, and when they import it here on American soil, everything gets washed, it gets sanitized, it gets sent out into the world with proper packaging, all the things. But the Canadian government requires that wax wrapping just as an extra layer of safety.
Okay, so cheese molds too, correct?
Yes.
And in this case, mold is a good thing.
Yes.
Correct? Why?
It means healthy cheese.
But I don't understand.
Okay.
Do you have to cut it off?
So cheese is alive.
Okay.
Okay, it is a live and living product. And when mold grows on it, that means that cheese is very healthy and creating a very hospitable environment for mold.
Okay.
Now we look at that and we're like, ooh.
That's what I think.
Yeah. You don't want to ingest it. You do want to cut it off. You do want to cut it off, but please don't ever just throw a whole piece of cheese or a whole wheel of cheese or a wedge of cheese away just because it has a spot of mold on it. No, what you're looking at is a healthy product that is still good to eat. Remove the mold and keep it moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 30 cheeses approximately at all times. What countries do you have, and how close to Canton would you have cheese from?
Okay, so that's a really good question. So we deal with cheese from almost all over the world, and regionally we go North America, we go England, we go France, we go Germany, we go Italy, we go Dutch, we go Switzerland, and at times we'll get things in like from Portugal and places like that. So when we are dealing with overseas cheesemakers, we have to leave that sourcing to the importers. Yeah. I don't normally connect with them. But North American cheesemakers are much easier to connect with because of Instagram. You can find them, talk to them, get their processes, and a lot of times you're talking to people who are farmers and cheesemakers. They have a dual position in the process, which is amazing. So I loved connecting with them. I love buying from them. In terms of how close to Canton we get, it depends. Right now, I'm looking to work with a person in I can't remember, Vernon, Ohio, called Coco Borrego, and she has sheep and goats. So her sheep and goats milk cheese is amazing. So that's the closest we're working with right now.
Okay.
Right,
and
so
she's probably loving to be in shops too.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Get the
And it's
word
and
out.
I admire them a lot because, you know, if your job is one thing, a farmer, that's a really hard job, right? And then you layer on cheesemaker. So now we've invented another job for these people.
Yeah.
And now they want to make sure that their product is going throughout the region. So now they're a sales and marketing person. So these folks, you know, they have a lot. They have a lot going on, and they're early morning, late night people. So I give them a lot of grace. If I have a hard time connecting, it's because they're farming.
Yeah. So I think $1 million question here. Favorite cheese? And also, is there a cheese that you have tried that you just hate?
Yes, absolutely. So I am not a person that gravitates toward Alpine cheeses. Alpine cheese is any cheese that is the animals graze and the cheese is made on a mountainside. Okay? So Swiss cheese is the closest
Is
we
that like
have.
the yak cheese kind of stuff?
It can happen,
Okay.
but again, sheep and goats,
Goats,
you know,
okay.
cows, they graze on
Yaks.
mountainsides.
Okay. That's what I think of. I pictured like the cartoon where they roll in the big cheese wheels. You know?
Okay.
Like that's what I was thinking of. When
Gotcha.
she said Alpine cheese, I'd never heard of that.
So that Alpine lace cheese, isn't that one that
So,
has tons of little holes in it?
It is, but listen, so anything that we make here, especially close to us here in Amish country, you'll see that it's, you know, they market it as Alpine style cheese, right? Because it adopts that same sort of Swiss cheese flavor profile that we like, but there's no mountain involved. So it cannot have that exact designation of being Alpine cheese. You have to have a mountain involved. So there are French Alps, Swiss Alps, German Alps, Italian Alps, you know, all of these different, you know, places that put forth the minerals in the mountainside, affect the vegetation, which then affects the cream that the animal puts forth. Has that certain flavor profile. I don't gravitate toward that. It's just not my favorite.
What is your favorite?
I love a blue cheese called Fior di Arencia from Italy.
It sounds awesome.
Yes. It's how I change people's mind about blue cheese.
I love blue cheese.
I do.
I like
Yeah.
blue cheese dressing too.
Yeah. So people think that blue cheese is just that hard, dry, crumbly stuff that you get in the little plastic container at Giant Eagle. No.
It looks very moldy also.
Right. Now they put that mold in there. That mold's supposed to be there. It's called penicillia. It's there on purpose. There's nothing wrong with it. But Fior di Arencia is a very special product because they take a sort of small format wheel. When I say small, it's less than 5 pounds. And they take a layer of orange rind that has been soaked in Moscato wine. So they create a paste out of that orange rind. And they layer that paste on top of the blue cheese wheel, and they let the essence of the oranges and the wine leak down through the wheel as it ages. So you get that funk of blue cheese, the sweet backing of the wine, and the orange essence, and it makes for the perfect bite.
I'm in for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We call it the sexiest cheese in the case.
So I had a question. I guess we're jumping around in topics. If somebody were to come in here, a complete novice like myself, I know the cheeses at the grocery store. Can people just buy like a small quantity? Can you get like a number of like quarter pounds or 8
Absolutely.
pounds
So quarter
or-
pound is our minimum cut request.
Okay.
That's what we call it. Quarter pound of anything. But one of the things that is great about my shop as opposed to a grocery store is you're able to try before you buy. So we have no problem opening up the wheels and letting you sample cheese before you buy.
Okay.
It's a large investment. You know, we are selling artisan style cheese for, you know, a pretty good price point. So we want you to be super happy with what you take home.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to do it. Plus we get to tell those fun legacy stories that go along with the cheese.
Plus, if people like it, they will buy more.
They will buy
Yes.
more and they will
Larger
tell their
quantity.
friends.
Yes.
And yes, that's the idea.
I'm just thinking how fun it would be to get 6, like we're doing here.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of cheeses
Exactly.
for friends.
Yeah, and I go to private homes and I go to other restaurant establishments and have special events where we talk about and learn about and try all kinds of different things and pair them with wine. So, you know, again, that messaging, that connectivity that comes with the line that I'm in is very important to me. And it is 50% of why I do what I do. It's not just the product.
love
it's
the interaction.
It's the interaction. It's the connectivity. Yeah.
Well, it makes it less intimidating too.
Yes.
I'm sure there are cheese snobs out there.
Yeah, and I mean, we knew when we got into this business, because like you said to me earlier, I didn't know if this was a slam dunk. So I knew getting into this that I was going to have to educate Canton, Ohio on why it's delicious, why it's worth it, what the value is behind it, and by and large, people have really bought in and they appreciate it. They like to shop here.
You have a couple more samples that I can't wait to try.
Yeah, we're looking at them.
Absolutely. So I want you to try these next. That is the second Gouda that I brought out for you. It's called Euphoria, spelled
I like the name.
Yeah, spelled EWEPHORIA.
Okay, so
Euphoria.
sheep-related.
This is a sheep's milk Gouda. So as you can see, that's got a lot more age on it than the first one that you tried because it's harder and drier. Does it take you to the farm a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what sheep's milk cheese will do for you. Historically speaking, sheep's milk cheese called osso irati is the very first cheese recipe on record. From the Pyrenees in France, that, like, people were milking sheep and making cheese before they were milking anything else in the world for a very, very long time.
It's delicious.
This
Isn't
is
it?
really good.
I know. Who
And
doesn't
I'm
love
thinking
Gouda?
these would be really great with wine also.
Absolutely.
This is a lot different than the Colby Jack I've consumed from the grocery store.
I know.
The extra sharp cheddar that you get.
And listen, I'm not a cheese snob. I know there's room for all of us. I enjoy all of it. But I really enjoy telling the stories and introducing people to something that maybe they wouldn't have if they were just a grocery store shopper.
So I have a 4-year-old, right? And he loves grilled cheese. Would you ever do sandwiches or cheese with noodles on that kind of stuff with any of the artisan cheeses? Or is it mostly just to be eaten like we are right now?
So it's mostly just to be eaten like we are right now. Some of it is very meltable, very spreadable. It just depends on, if you come in, and I do have people that come in and say, I want to make sandwiches. I want to, I want to spread it on something. What can I do? And we will point you in that direction, but we're also going to tell you if you're choosing things that aren't going to perform well for you.
Yeah.
So cheese, a lot of artisan cheese has a very high fat content, and the good fats like the ones found in avocados, but all they'll do is separate and string.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've found that smoked Gouda does not melt.
No.
At all.
No. So.
But they do, Brock, I don't know if you know it, but they serve grilled cheese sandwiches here. That's kind of their main.
What cheese is in your grilled cheese
lunch
sandwich?
item.
Okay, so we have two that are just grilled cheese, and one of them is called our fancy, and that is brie and fruit compote. And the other one is called classic, and I make that out of the pimento spread that I make from scratch.
That sounds delicious.
So one fun fact about being a cheese shop owner, and I found this out as I was doing my stage work when this place was being built, one of the things that gives you legitimacy is having a fantastic pimento spread recipe. Like, of all the amazing things that we deal in, that's what legitimizes you.
Gotta have
pimento.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I grew up on pimento spread.
Yes. So we make it from scratch. We sell it retail. We put it on our sandwiches. People love it. It's melty. It's amazing. It's rich. It's all the things. Yeah.
So people who come in here for lunch, you have grilled cheese, you have homemade soup. Your grilled cheese are called what, melties? Or
Toasties.
Toasties.
Yes, we have a turkey bruschetta right now. We have an Italian, and we have the two that I just explained. We do wraps, we do salads, we do a homemade soup every week. We recommend you get in early because the soup sells out really fast. And we are switching over into a summer menu coming up here very soon. And we're also rolling out a Saturday brunch menu for the summer. I know. So more brunchy items, some smoked salmon, some, just some other fun cheese inspired dishes.
Now, do you have seating outside in the summer? Oh, how great.
I know. And the Canton Farmers Market is going to be right out here on our block starting at the end of June. So that's going to be a real coup for all of us here on this block. It's going to be an amazing way to spend a Saturday.
People are going to be in the food mood.
I know.
Definitely.
I'm excited.
Okay, cool.
And I'm here to support it.
So I would say the thing I'm most excited about from you are these deli trays that you put together, or charcuterie boards. I don't know what the word
We
is.
call them grazing trays.
Okay.
So a common misnomer is that
Deli.
people think that charcuterie means the smattering of goods on a tray or a board, right? That's not what charcuterie means. Charcuterie is the French term for cured meat. Okay, so it's just meat. If you're in Europe and you order charcuterie, that's all you're going to get. Smoked and cured meats. So we call ours grazing trays because there is such a variety of sweets and savories and cheeses and meats and nuts and pickles and mustard and fresh and dried fruit and all the things. And we love them. We love designing them, and the town has come to love them as well. Thank goodness.
If I go to an art show opening and they have one of those, I'm kind of beelining to the food.
Good, thank you.
You should see these things, Brock. They're incredible.
Thank you. We
I
use the
have friends
freshest
that have had
ingredients,
them at
and
their parties.
yeah, we love them.
Yeah, and you sell how many of those in a week? It's got to keep you very busy.
It keeps us very, very busy. I can tell you that the week between the week of Christmas this year, we sold 75. Let alone the whole month between Thanksgiving and Christmas was amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
No one else is doing that in town. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing like that.
Yeah. So it is this is a faceted business. The grazing trays are a facet. The lunch walk-in business is a facet. The cheese case is a facet, and the catering is a facet. So when one thing is maybe down, then we are boosted on another side. There's a lot of things keeping us afloat here, which is amazing and interesting always.
Sure. And then you took over the skateboarding shop next door, which
Yes.
is like a dining. You make things in there, but it's also overflow seating.
It's
and
overflow
events.
seating for busy days here for lunch, and then people can rent it out for private events. So it seats up to 20 people. We do all the catering for it. It's unlimited beer and wine for a 3-hour rental, and people just tend to have a really good time in there. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're wanting that last cheese, right?
Do it.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know
Yeah.
if he was gonna.
So the very
Okay.
last one is a cranberry cheddar.
Okay.
And it's not aged at all. In fact, it's kind of a soft and crumbly cheddar with a cranberry infusion.
Okay. I mean, yes, Dan. I was worrying about that. We weren't going to get this in.
I was kind of eyeing it.
Go for it.
That is delicious. You can really taste the cranberries.
Yeah. It's an English product. It's a cow's milk cheese, and there is a whole line of them. You can get apricot infused. You can get, I don't know, ginger infused. There's a blueberry. There's a lot of them.
Very good. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for having us today. This has been super fun. I'm excited to try some cheeses, and I know Dan had a good time too. Dan's still eating. I was like
cheese.
hoping for him to come in there, but so Nicole, thanks again for having us. Is there any way people can get in touch with you? Do you have a website, Facebook? How do they do that?
Absolutely. So we're on all the platforms. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Fromage du Monde, Canton, Ohio, of course. Our website is fromagecanton.com. And we have a Google page, so it's super easy to get our phone number, get our web address. And we hope that you stop in. We hope you give us a call. We hope you visit the website. We just love to connect with the community.
Well, very good. So thanks everybody for listening to What's Up Stark, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.